Hi guys.
Hi, Ola.
Hey. Hey Ram.
How are
Good to see you
you?
again.
Thank you. This is my second time. Last time
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
a couple of
I
months
remember.
ago. It was great.
I think it was you were here for Thomas Tennant's workshop, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How's it going?
Great. Thank you. We have a real giant today.
Hi Peter. Hi Zdenek. We have
Oh, good evening.
hi. We have some 20 people.
Hi everyone.
Hi Zdenek.
Hi Ola.
How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Cool. Yeah, I'm in the airport coffee, so this is why there's some noise behind. I'm going to cut my microphone anyway at some point. I hope all will go well with the recording and that the connection is stable, but it looks pretty operational. So we have 20 people who have registered, 22 people. Which by experience is a nice number to be able for everyone to have a chance to say something. So it's nice. Thanks, Zdenek, for being here and for
Yeah, sure.
giving
No problem.
energy and knowledge here.
No problem. Hopefully they'll come, or is it normal they sign up and they just come just on time or in the last minute?
Yeah, even some 5 minutes later. So usually we don't start just on
Oh,
on
okay.
time. Yeah.
I think it was scheduled to 6 o'clock at some point.
No, for this time we didn't change the, the timing ever. It was always the same time. We had some funny trouble last time, but this one just went straight to the right.
Okay, so
the right
somebody
time.
there's a chance that somebody will come up in 30 minutes as well. Yeah, at the end of the session as well. Yeah.
No, we shouldn't have this kind of surprise. And anyway, like people received an email 30 minutes ago to give them the link and everything they need to join it on time. And I sent another reminder just 3 minutes ago. So
Oh, okay, let's see.
yeah, let's wait a bit, maybe 2-3 minutes. So Ram is joining from Israel, this I know, and Peter, you're in Denmark. Where are you, Peter?
Yeah, Denmark, Copenhagen.
Yeah, cool. And Peter is not a beginner or an intermediate.
I know.
But he's always joining the BG Sundaes, so it's always a pleasure to have him here.
I know the name. I know you play well.
But I think it's quite interesting because even though these workshops are for beginners and intermediates, I've been able to take something away from it every single time. And actually, last time with Roberto, it was amazing, and I missed it. But there was some really good things in there.
Yeah, it was really. He gave away some pretty cool reference positions.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about backgammon, that even if you are a world-class player, then even some normal stuff, even the first and second roll can surprise you. Basically, I've got that today, and yeah, I got surprised over the second roll as well. So yeah, that's the nice thing.
Yeah, that's backgammon, I guess. Yeah.
Ola, may I ask where can I find recordings of the past sessions?
So you can ask them for me, and I will send you by WeTransfer this raw video as it was recorded, because we haven't managed yet post-prod to put them nicely into our YouTube channel. But I mean, it's in the pipeline, so it should be there anytime. But in the meantime, if you'd like to attend still and watch, I can send you the video, no problem.
Thank you.
Hi, Keith. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
Where are you from? Where are you connecting from?
Houston, Texas, in the US.
Hey, cool. And we have David, who's joined. Welcome, David.
than me. Maybe like just before, like 5 yeah. What?
And we have, I think it's Hannes, maybe it's pronounced this way, who's connecting with us. The recording. So I think Keith is joining for the first time. I'll say a couple of words about Backgammon Sundaes. So Backgammon Sundaes is an initiative from the World Backgammon Federation, because we realized that this large pond, I mean, one of the largest ponds of players are mainly intermediates and beginners. And also that, I mean, top players and, you know, high ranked players are usually very happy to share their knowledge and expertise anytime, but we don't have such platforms, and this is why we have come up with the Backgammon Sundaes. So the idea is that every one Sunday a month, a top-ranked player gives a bit of his time and expertise to intermediates, social players or beginners. So to help them all year long upgrade their play, grow their awareness, and, you know, understand key points. And we know, I mean, for any kind of experienced player, we know how important it is to have different points of view and different approaches to the game, which makes, you know, our understanding of it more flexible. So we're really lucky to have Zdenek here. I mean, everybody knows Zdenek, and his performance is amazing. We're even more happy that he's of the younger generation. So it's like a great promise that, you know, I mean, this game is also passionating for younger people. And for our greatest delight, Zdenek is more and more getting involved in sharing his knowledge, and so he's making videos, more and more videos. He's got his huge YouTube channel, and I think he's baptized his project Backgammon Coaching, which he's going to tell you about anyway. So welcome to this workshop with Zdenek. We're going to be a pretty contained group. In maximum 20 people. We'll see who joins. And so hopefully everyone gets the chance to say something or ask a question. But Zdenek, what Zdenek wanted to share with us today is mainly situations when we are in a race. So we are going into a racing game plan, which, you know, turns into a holding game. And so he wants to, you know, show us a bit of focus. You know, we're going to highlight this passage and how to manage holding games, etc. So thanks, Zdenek, again to be with us, and I think we can start.
Okay, thank you all for the introduction. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my seminar about races and holding games. For the start, as we are just 4 or 5 here, and hopefully more people will come, but we will start, of course. First, what I'll be talking about, by the way, Ola, can I share the screen? Will I be able to share the screen, or is it, could you just allow me before you leave, please, so I can be sharing the screen? Oh yeah.
It should be fine now.
So we will look at the races from all kinds of points of view. We will start with explanation like what the race is, and from the easiest part, where the race is just super short, we will try to understand more and more complex race situations, which will turn into the holding games later on. So I'm gonna share my screen. Just tell me please if you see my screen, everyone, or anyone, if you can see my screen right now. You should see a board of Extreme Gammon. Okay, good. So what should we start in the race? We will talk specifically about cube action. And well, could anyone tell me what what the cube action is like, what's the take point, when should we double, when should we double, when should we take, when should we pass, what it is. Could anyone say anything, or what do you think is the cube action? Why do we have cube action?
So
Anyone?
if we have, so I guess if we have more than 50% equity here, I mean, if more than half of the roles win for us, then we should double.
Good, good. And would you know when should we take or when should we pass the cube?
I think more than 70. No, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I would
okay.
say 75, but I think I'm wrong.
So what we are going to talk about today, and what's going to be a huge topic and very important to understand, is I can show you a position. I can show you a position where we will have just 52% and it's going to be a double. At the same time, I can show you a position where you've got 70% and it's going to be a no double. So that's why what we're going to understand about backgammon, that we need to understand the game, what's going on. And we will look at few differences and what's going to happen. First, what I'd like you to understand and what's going to be the most important is the take point. Well, good. Now in this position, we are black. We are on the roll. We own the cube. And should we double? If yes, should we take or should we pass? So who thinks this is a double? Just raise your hand. If you've got a video, if you don't have a video, then I don't know, you can type something or anything. Yeah, oh, this is good. So, okay. So anybody who wouldn't double, who don't think this is a double? Yeah, so good. Definitely this classifies as a no double. How are we going to analyze this position is, well, we need to know how many rolls take off and how many don't. And in this scenario, how can we lose this game? Well, we can lose if we roll 2-1, if we roll 3-1, 4-1, 3-2, and double 1, right? So we've got 9 rolls out of 36, which will lose us the game, which means 27, which will win us the game, okay? From this point, what we can deduct, how can we make an implication is, in this situation, of course, we double because we are huge favorites, and this is a last roll position. In this position, it does not matter whether we take or pass, since in the long run, we're going to have the same result. This will be crucial to understand for those who don't know what the take point is. Now, I'm going to establish why the take point is going to be 25% of a dead cube. So if anything is, anytime anything is not clear, just tell me immediately and I can just repeat something. If you've got any questions, of course, I'll ask afterwards, but if something is unclear, just let me know. So here we've established that we've got 25% to lose the game, 75% to win the game, right? Because we've got 9 rolls, which out of 36, which lose us the game. So that's 25%. Now, why it doesn't matter whether it's a take or whether it's a pass? Well, imagine we are gonna play this game 100 times. Imagine our opponent always drops the cube, okay? So we are going to double on 4, okay? We are going to double on 4. If he drops every single time, he's gonna lose 100 times 2 points. Okay, so in 100 games, if we play this game 100 times and he drops 100 times, then we are going to lose 200 points. If, on the other hand, he takes the cube, well, if he takes the cube, we're going to play this game for 4 points, right? And 75% of the time, we are going to win 4 points. So 75 times, we will win 4 points. 75 multiplied by 4, that's 300. So we will win 300 points, but 25% of the time, 25 times, we will lose 4 points. So we will lose 100. So we will win 300. On the other hand, we will lose 100. So again, in 100 games, we will lose 200 points. So as we can see, this is where the borderline is, you know. So 25%, that's why it's borderline. That's what's important to understand. Then it would be easy if we've got this position. What would the result be? So how would you think about this? Anyone? If anybody confident what the right move is here, what's the cube action over here? Okay, so here in this position, again, we know we've got all ones miss, right? If we roll any one except double one, we are going to lose. And there are 11 ones minus double one. So we've got 10 rolls to miss. So in this situation, we've got there's a bigger chance that we're going to lose this game, which is better for white, which means it should be definitely a take here. Okay, so far everything understood about the take point? Good. So let's move on to the racing games, to bigger ones. Let's say we've got this position. We are on the row as black. Something what's going to be crucial to understand. The pip count, the position is same, right? Both players got same position. Pip count is the same. There is one thing changed. We are on the roll, so we've got the advantage. Now, what's going to be crucial and important to understand is that in this position, of course, it's not 50-50 because we are on the roll. One person is always on the roll in backgammon. So in this position, for example, in this kind of long race, let's say, it's not 50-50, but we've got kind of huge lead. You know, we've got 57% lead. So this position will be, for example, 58 against 42. Once I make the position closer to home, let's say we will have this position again the same one. In this position, the roll, being on the roll would make even bigger impact, since it matters more if we are on the roll. So in this position, we would actually have over 60%. And now, why am I talking about this? How this is going to be important and what I want you to understand. If you've got any race situation, I will tell you formula which will explain and which will talk about the race situation, so you will always be sure when to double, when to take, and when to pass the cube. The formula is very simple. Many formulas exist, of course. I find this to be super easy and super exact. So important always is you will take our pip count. Okay, our pip count you can see over here. We've got 106. Opponent got 113. So what you take is you take 10% of the one who is on the roll. Let's say black is on the roll here, right? So now, should we double? Is it a take? Is it a pass? That's all the things we will always be figuring out at races. You can be confident with this formula. Take. Now I'm thinking about the cube. What I need to know, the only thing I need to know is my pip count, you divide it by 10, that's 10.6, right? 10.6, and now you do minus 3. 10.6 minus 3, that's 7.6. And well, that tells me one thing. 7.6 would be the point where I would start cubing, basically. I need to be up 7.6 pips to cube, which means, in other words, I'm not going to cube the race where I'm up 7 pips, but I will cube when I'm up 8 pips. As you can see, I'm not lying. we are up 7 pips, so that's a small no double. Once I'm gonna be up 10 pips, now we can see that's a double. How simply this can work. Again, this formula is just based on what we said. Being on the roll and having a race advantage. That's all what matters until I mention one thing. So this is very, very useful because you can just be very confident, especially if you're an intermediate player. This is this is a part where you can be just confident now, you know. So for the double, it's 10% minus 3. Okay, 10% minus 3 for the initial cube. We are talking about cube from the middle. Now, if you own the cube, now you need even more reasons to double. Before I'll mention the formula, so we just don't talk about formulas because backgammon is more than that. Let's talk about in theory what actually cube ownership means. If the cube at the beginning is in the middle, well, in the middle, it means that both players got access to the cube. So let's say opponent would have, so both players can use the cube as a weapon. Let's say we would own the cube because opponent would double us earlier. We would have taken. So now we can be the only ones to use a cube as something, as a weapon. I don't want to use the word weapon, but now I cannot find another word. So this is something we want to value, you know, because now it's just us who can use this powerful thing to cause some damage to our opponent, you know. So now we need a little bit more reason to double. So we need to have a little bit better situation than that. So in this situation, we wouldn't use 10% minus 3, but we would use 10% minus 2. So for the initial cube, we've said that we need to be up at least 7.6 pips, which means 8 pips. We need to be up with the cube, with owning the cube. This would not be enough, but we would need to be up, well, 10% minus 2. So 10%, that's 10.5. 10.5 minus 2, that's 8.5. So I need to be up 8.5 pips. In other words, I need to be up 9 pips. So let's see how close it's gonna get. And as we can see, again, it just works perfectly. This simple formula just covers everything. So this is for the no double and the redouble part.
Super cool.
Everything clear so far, or any questions? Okay.
Thanks for this.
Yeah. So this is no double double. Now, let's look at take and pass. One opponent should take, one should he pass. In this, again, I will save you and tell you about the formula. Formula in this situation will be 10% plus 2. That's simple. So let's look at here. We are 10%. 10% is 10.4 plus 2. That's 12.4, which means 12.4 is the last point where white can take. So white will take when he's 9 pips behind. He will take when he's 10 pips behind. He will take 11. He will take even 12, but he will not take 13. Let's say how close we got. Of course, sometimes there can be something to change. So 11, we can see still a big take. 12, we still should see some kind of take. Actually, it's going to work. 13, as expected, we see a pass. So again, precisely it works. How simple thing, and it can just precisely work. So you can just be super confident about this. Good thing about this is that doesn't matter. If we think about it, it doesn't matter whether the cube is in the middle or it's a recube. Because when you are taking a cube, if you are playing a money game or score is 0-0 to, let's say, 11 points, when it's normal score, then let's say each point got the same value. So as long as each point got the same value, that it doesn't matter whether it's a cube from the middle or whether you would take the cube as a redouble. Okay, so this is like a very easy formula which you can start using and basically crushing the races, you know. You can outplay your opponent very well here. Of course, if you play a match, I mean, if you play a match and score would be what? Let's say it would be 11-point match and, well, white would be winning, let's say 9-4, for example. Then, of course, the cube can be adjusted, yeah? Let's say it's 9-4. So let's say it's almost a take as from the middle, but of course, when you are leading, then you prefer not to take the recube, you know? Okay, now it's so obvious, but when it's a recube in a match, when you are winning, then of course there can be some other factors which come to the game, okay? So if it's a match, then always you should consider, okay, if I take the cube, for example, this one, white is winning 8-4 to 11. So it's 11-point match, 8-4. Now, it's a huge difference if black redoubles, because, well, then white doesn't really want to play a big game, you know? So he just doesn't want to play a big game. He doesn't want to play for 4 points, especially when he just needs 3 points, you know? So now it will be just a huge pass. If it was from the middle, well, it would be just a small one, yeah? So score really matters, yeah? Score really matters, of course. But what we are talking about here, what we are counting here with our formula is where the score is even, let's say, or you play a money game or something. So this is about the race. Now to the complications, what can happen? What can happen and when you may start adjusting is when you've got a wastage. Wastage are checkers which are dead, which are not going to be as useful as you think they'll be. When the pip count will be not right. Just as an example, so you understand what I'm talking about. Well, imagine you've got this position. In this position, both players got pip count of 6. So you may say, well, that's perfect, right? It should be even game. But, well, of course, black is never going to win this game. So wastage is something. When we've got basically killed checkers here, we can say. And now if black rolls, let's say 6-5, let's say he rolls 6-5, well, I mean, whether he rolls 6-5 or he rolls something like 3-1, basically, it's going to all work the same. That's why we care so much about, in the race, about checkers which are on the 1 point, which are on the 2 point excessively, you know. So when we've got more than 1 point on the 1 point or on the 2 point, it's called wastage, and we need to somehow penalize that, you know. So if we've got a normal race, as we had, let's just put random race. So let's say you would have this position, yeah. So we've got this position. From our formula, double action. From our formula, this could be what? Okay, 14 pips. So we are 94, which means 9.4. So we've got definitely a double, of course. It's still going to be a pass. I'm going to put one more death checker there, one more death checker here, just to make it a little bit more. Okay, for example, this one, I guess. Yeah. In this position, we've got obviously death checkers here. Our pip count is 87. So normally, what we would double, and should our opponent take or should he pass? Well, in this situation, we can't really use the count exactly because it says 10%, that's 8.7. Okay, so 8.7 plus 2. Formula says that last point to take is 10.7, which means 11 pips should be a pass, 10 should be a take. But this is the thing I was talking about, these wastages, and even as you can see, we are 12 pips up, but we can see it's kind of big take. Because as the race will go, well, we will have these checkers on the 1 point, which we will just waste on, we will waste our pips on them. So this is something you always want to adjust and something you always want to work on. So just do some adjustments, tiny adjustments, okay, when you've got these. So these are all about races. These are all things about races you want to know about formulas and about how that works. So far, everything clear, or anybody has any question so far? Okay.
Either shy or you're super clear.
Maybe both.
Probably.
So one thing, what I haven't talked about yet. Before we've said that the take point was 25%, right? How it is possible that we can see that white's got 21% and it's a take? Well, there is one thing. I already mentioned cube efficiency. If we give the cube, we will use our cube, which we have to cube according to formula, according to everything. We give a cube, opponent takes. That's the big part. Opponent will be able to recube us and use his weapon, let's say, in the future to finish the game earlier, for example, or use his cube to his
Has something happened? We lost Zdenek.
So what I'm trying to say, be very careful about the cube. How are you using it? That's why when you hold the cube, that's why your position should be strong in order to double. So this is about races. One more thing I'd like you to know about these like bet of games is just what every intermediate player should know. What will make you a better player then for sure when you know these, when you're confident in these, is rolls against rolls. Here you can see, let's put us on the roll. Let's put us on the roll. These positions are called rolls against rolls. In other words, how many rolls we need to take off, how many rolls does our opponent need to take off his checkers. Simple rule which you can be using is 3 rolls against 3 rolls, it's gonna be a pass. The only explanation here is math and mathematical decision. So if you are not a math person, let's just take it as it is. If you are, well, then you know how to count these. And there is no other way to explain that. If it's 4 against 4 rolls, this is where it's going to become a take. This is where you will be taking because there is still a lot of room for opponent to roll a double. Maybe if he rolls a double on the first shake, on the first roll, then he can even cube next roll, right? So if we roll something like 3-2, we take off 2 checkers. White rolls a double, takes 4 checkers. We don't roll a double, and well, our opponent can just cube us back again. Okay, so that's why 3 rolls. Hello?
C'est comme ça.
Hello. Could you, JJ, could you just
Oh,
turn your, yeah.
Sorry, mute.
Hello. Yeah. Good. Thanks. Yeah. So this is why 3 rows against 3 rows is gonna be a pass, and 4 rows against 4 rows is gonna be a take. These situations happen a lot, not just in this variant. You may find position such as, for example, this, and you want to be adjusting it to what we've just said, you know. So if we've got, let's say something like this, well, this is going to be very simple since black is off on how many rows? He's going to be actually off on 2 rows. Why is the same? So when it's 2 rows against 2 rows, it's even more obvious that it's going to be a pass. But of course, what may happen, so just want to point out so you're not going to make the same, you don't make mistake. In this position, you could say that this is like 3 rows against 3 rows, but it would not be entirely true when you say that. Because this position, you can't categorize it as 3 rows against 3 rows, because I mean, that's what's most likely going to happen. Black probably is going to miss, so he's going to be on 3 rows out. White's going to be probably the same, right? But here is when our thinking comes in mind and where we can actually spot some variance. And well, black can actually be out on 1 row. He can be, if he rolls the 6 6 5s. He can be out on 2 rows if he just rolls like 6 3 and then just not small numbers. He can be out in 3 rows. So white, of course, the same. What I'm suggesting, this position is highly volatile. A lot of things can happen here. So these positions, when they are super volatile, when it can actually vary, this is definitely not 3 rows against 3 rows, but it can be even 2 rows against 2 rows, can be 1. So this is like a huge range. So when a lot of things can happen in the game, that's good for the other player, right? Because he still got a lot of chance. When a lot of things can happen, there is a lot of chance, a lot of room for the other opponent. So this is just something I don't want you to get confused. So you just don't see this as a 3 row against 3 row position, but see this as a volatile position where anything can happen. Okay. So this was all about the races. If you got any question about the races, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna go to the holding games. Okay. So holding games, what it is, well, yeah, what it is, that's what we should start with, right? So holding games means, holding games are games where 2 players, me and opponent, hold each other with points. Usually we can see ourselves having a 13-point midpoint and opponent having an anchor in our home board. It can be a 4-point anchor, it can be a 5-point anchor, it can be a 7-point anchor. We're going to approach them all in the same way, in the same thinking, because this is where there is at least some backgammon, okay? This is where something's going to be interesting. So holding games, we're going to approach easily. Again, I'm going to give you some direction, how you can be confident about them, some guidance, what you can be using, which is going to help you basically master them. What's the key? If we think about it in general, what we are approaching with the cube, when we are doubling, what's the point to double? We are doubling when we can lose our market losers. What that means? It means we need to double before it becomes a pass, right? That makes sense, right? I mean, we need to double before it becomes a pass. I mean, otherwise now if we roll double 6s, our opponent is never taking it, right? So we need to double before. So what you want to be finding, not just in holding games, but everywhere in all, I mean, in the whole backgammon game, when you are thinking about cubing, you should think about the rows, the sequences. How easily can it become a pass? How easily you can crush your opponent in your next row. So that's like the general theory of the doubling cube. So, well, how should we approach holding games then? There must be some knowledge to know and some theory as well behind it, so we can work with it a little bit. We need to know what is a take, what is a pass, and so on. So what I'm gonna suggest is, when you've got a holding game going on, holding game is like a race, but with a contact, right? So there is like a factor of a race, factor of a contact. So in these situations, I'm not gonna bother with you I don't use formula for this. The only thing I use, I keep it simple. I say, when I'm 15 pips up in a holding game, I double. This is what works. This is basically, I mean, the easiest I can tell you. So what I'm always doing when I see a holding game, when I have the 13 point and opponents got the anchor in my home board, I wait until I'm 15 pips up and then I double. Now, of course, it's backgammon. It's not gonna be that simple. What if I show you this position? Could anyone tell me why this is not a double? What did I change? Could anyone see the change why this is not a double? Because I just said that when I'm 15 pips and more up, it should be double. So why do you think this is not a double? Could anyone tell me? Or would you like me to reveal? So, yeah.
Because double is not market loser. Double 6, double 4.
Yes. Yes. Good. Thank you. Exactly.
Can you repeat what Eva said, because I couldn't hear that?
Yeah. So Eva said that now, if I roll a double, it's not a market loser. And so now, if I roll like double fours, so let's say I roll double fours, yeah. I'm gonna play 3 checkers from the 13 point. Okay, it's slow. I'm gonna play like this, right? 3 checkers from the 13 point, just gonna bring it down. He's gonna move something, whatever. Oops. And well, now I'm gonna be on the row, but well, before I said that we want to double before it becomes a pass. But now, even if I roll double fours, it's not a pass because I couldn't leave my 13 point. So this is another thing which is important. When you've got 5 checkers here on the 13 point, you cannot really lose your market loser because, well, even if you roll like double sixes, like the best roll, what should be possible, well, you still got a hell of a problem. So this is something you want to wait for. This is what should be your idea. How should you think? Okay, I've got 5 checkers. I'm 50, more than 15 pips up, but I've got 5 checkers on the 13 point. Okay, well, let me just roll once. Let me roll something like 4-3. He's gonna roll something. And well, now I'm gonna cube. Because now this is something where I can lose something, you know. This is now where I need to double, because here I can turn it into the pass if I roll double sixes, double fours, double fives, and so on. Why? So, but wait, why don't I just cube now? Because, okay, worst case, I'm just gonna roll 4-3 and I'm gonna cube anyway. Well, okay, what if I roll 4-3 and opponent rolls double sixes? Now I definitely want to have cube, you know. So this is the part where I'm risking, I would give unnecessary risk, since I can just cube next row. And well, if my opponent rolls double sixes, for example, or if he just rolls double fives, whatever, then I just don't need to cube. So if you have a holding game, wait for 15 pips to be up, but at the same time have market losers. Respect the market losers about the cube decisions. Yeah, so wait until you have 4 checkers, and then then double. Now, can this become a pass? When it's a pass in a holding game, you can see that it's a pass. Would it be a pass maybe if I was 57 pips up? Well, no. If you listen to me closely, I mentioned that holding game is one factor is the raise, one factor is the contact, hitting a shot. Now I'll say a sentence, I'll try to say it clever. If the more you're up in the race, well, then the bigger chance you have to leave a shot. Because now, okay, white's not gonna win the race, but well, I'm gonna so easily leave a shot because I just don't have any spare checkers to play with. Okay, so it doesn't matter the race. I mean, in a holding game, the race doesn't matter for the take side from the theory. Okay, everything what matters is the idea. Okay. Oh, who's there? Hello, everyone. Hello. So hope this is understood so far. So that's why most holding games are double takes, because it doesn't matter what the race is, because when the more pips up we are, well, then the bigger chance opponent got to take because he's gonna get more shots. So hang on. Well, also some positions, of course, has to be passes, right? I mean, I've had tons of positions which were passes and were holding games. So now let's identify them. When it's a holding game and when it's a pass. I can give you right option. Okay, I'll just copy because I prepared the position. One thing what will make sense, and it's going to be very simple, is this one. In this position, what's the problem? Well, it's like 30 pips, and well, it looks like normally. I mean, it looks normal. So why is this a pass? Remember what we've said? We've said, again, factor the race. In this position, how can white win the race? Well, with 40 pips being up, not that easily. And how could white get a shot? Well, easily, right? But white is not developed and he may not have time to build anything. So one case when holding game is a pass is when you are not prepared for it and you may not have time to prepare. So now theoretically, even if black would leave a shot, well, so what? So I leave a shot and well, even if I get the hit, I can still win anyway. So when you get a holding game, it's important to have your board built, yeah? So unless, so otherwise, what's the point of taking? I mean, then even if you hit, then you've got like not a good game or not a good chance. So this is the first thing when you pass the cube, when your board is undeveloped, okay? Well, now what's undeveloped board? We could say it's basically if you hit, you don't feel comfortable. Let's keep it as simple as it is. By the way, of course, this doesn't happen that much because usually when it's a holding game, you will have board developed.
Yeah, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying, basically, I mean, the way I understand it is that in case you're in a holding position and you couldn't develop your board, even if I get I have a chance to get a shot, it doesn't make sense to take a cube.
Yes, exactly, because even if, let's say, you would get a shot, then you need to get very, very lucky to hit the shot. And well, then you still need to get very, very lucky to contain the checker and build your board.
Okay.
So that would not be enough. But if you've got your board, and you get your shot, well, then you just need to get lucky to hit, and that's it.
Okay.
So you need to get heady instruments. So yeah, good question. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is the first part of holding games when it can become a pass. Second part is going to be kind of with the same story. Now, when opponent will have the board, now opponents got the board, so there is no problem there. Now there is a problem that opponent will not get the shot. Why? Because now we've got two landing spots, two strongest landing spots. We've got 7-point and an 8-point build. Now it's going to get much easier for us to bring our checkers down and just to bring them in. And yeah, so with 7-point and 8-point build, once you are more than 20 pips behind, then you don't want to take the cube. So let's summarize. Because this was a lot of information. Holding games in general are usually double takes. They are becoming doubles when you are more than 15 pips up and you've got market losers. Okay, so typical position would be something like this. More than 15 pips up, and if you roll double 6, double 5, double 4, definitely will become a pass. So typical position to double take, typical holding game. Even if you are way up, let's say 60 pips, whatever, up, 40, 50 pips up, it's still a take, because as we've said, holding games they have got two factors. One is raise, one is contact. So now there's bigger chance to leave a shot, therefore get a hit, getting hit. So now, as you can see, it's a big take. When we can pass the holding game, one scenario when we are undeveloped, because then even if we hit a shot, we still need to get lucky to win. So we need to get lucky to hit the shot, and then we need to get lucky to win the game. Otherwise, when we've got the board built, we will win the game when we hit the shot. So now you see it kind of makes our life easier. Second thing, when we pass the cube, is when we got the 7-point and 8-point, and we are more than 20 pips up fast, because once it's 20 more pips being behind, still kind of difficult to win the race. And at the same time, with 7 and 8-point, well, that's kind of tricky to get a shot as well. One thing which may surprise you, and I'm gonna tell you why, if it's an 8-point and 9-point, it's gonna be a take. And well, it's a combination of reasons now, because, well, first, it's harder for us to come down because the 6s obviously we want. Second thing, even if we bring it down like this, now we still need to clear 2 points with a hole. That's why it's so important for us to, that's why it's so much powerful to have the 7-point more than any other point. That's why with the 7-point, it's a pass. Okay, and this one basically just an easy take. Now we need to bring two points. Even let's say we were at this position, it kind of still a big difference, to bring the 8-point in. Yeah. So these are all the holding game things, tricks, and you're not gonna find, I don't think, anything different than this. This is all about the holding game, all about the races. If you've got any question about holding games or anything you think I may have forgotten, you can just ask me. I'm just gonna recall anything.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So say that black has the 7 and 8 points made.
Okay.
But it doesn't have any extras, so no extra on the 13, 6, and 5.
Oh, not 6
Could
and
this
5.
be a take?
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Good question. And I will say one additional thing about this as well. One thing I didn't mention, yeah, this is gonna be a take. Second thing, this is not gonna happen that much, actually.
Right.
But yeah, this theoretically, in theory, this would be a take because this would allow us. This is where the backgammon comes in play. This is where our thinking comes into play. Very good question, because here, once we don't roll perfectly on any of our roll, it will be ugly to play. So imagine 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, just for example. It kind of will look something like this, or well, this, or whatever. So yeah, very, very good question. If we've got this, I would call even ugly, well, not ugly structure, but not flexible structure. So when you don't have flexible structure, then yeah, then it makes sense to take, because then there is again more to the contact part when you are more likely to leave a shot. Yeah, great question. That brings me actually to one thing I didn't mention, and that's likelihood of something happening. Most of the times, like 9 out of 10 times, it will be double take. It's very rare in backgammon game that you would have your board undeveloped in the position. It may happen, but it's uncommon. So most likely what you should focus on, what you will see is a double take scenario. Yeah. So yeah, then you will probably most likely see 7 and 8 point made. So pass for this reason. And yeah. Yeah, this great point that when you've got no spare checkers, yeah, not that common position, but of course can happen. Then yeah, then you will take for the reasons mentioned. Yeah, of course also depends, but yeah. Oh, by the way, as you can see now, I just saw. Now you see the difference between developed board and undeveloped board. Yeah, this is of course kind of developed board, but it would make a huge difference as this is like a borderline take pass. Once I make it a little bit more developed, it's a huge take. So this just proves the point what I've been talking about the development of the board. Yeah, great question. Thank you. Any other question?
Yeah, does this work regardless of the anchor, whether it's on the 2, 3, 4?
Mm-hmm. Okay, good question. Usual, what I've just mentioned works on 4 point, 5 point, and 7 point as well, even though 7 point now, again, now we've got even more contact, so there's more things to consider. But yeah, on 7 point, 5 point, 4 point, this works. 3 point is a little bit, well, you can be using these same things, but it's gonna get different numbers. Yeah, it's good. This one would have different numbers since this is like worse anchor to get contact. So numbers are a little bit different here. But yeah, this would be like to talk to another hour about this, because but yeah, for the 3 point holding game, if you want to say, then that's gonna be slightly different with how many pips you need to be down or up. But well, that's the beautiful thing. We can always adjust from the things we know. So if we know that this was, let's say, for example, this was passed when it's more than 20 pips, right? Because it's 7 and 8 point. So let's say with the 3 point anchor, now it would be passed, let's say, even when, now let's say even less pips, right? Because now 20 still a pass, and well, let's say now it could get down to whatever, 15, 17 pips. Let's say even 17 pips could be a pass. But everything will now depend also how numbers will play. For example, 6-4. How will your 6-4 play in this position later on? You know, you can just leave a double shot in this position. If you roll 6-4. So more things will be considered then. But yeah, for 4 point, 5 point, 7 point works what I've said. For 3 point, It's partly anchor game, partly holding game, something in between. We can always adjust, but it's a little bit different idea, and there is something more to look for. And yeah, for the 2 point, it's just completely different. That would not be like a holding game. That's more like a, I don't know how to call these, but it's just a different game of 2 point. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for the question. I see something in the chat. Okay.
Yeah,
anything?
Zizi, hi.
Yeah,
I
hi,
just
Pete.
chucked a hey. I'm here actually with the dog. She's learning backgammon from me as well.
Nice.
So yeah, I just put a position in of a 3-point holding game, which I made a big error on to take earlier today. And it's, I mean, I can understand why now I got it wrong, but it's an interesting example of where the race was actually pretty even. And I can see now that any 6 I've got to come out and I'm basically going to get hit. So I can see why it was a bad take in the end. But this is it's interesting of like a holding game where it's not really the race that's the sort of the consideration.
Yes. Okay, great position. I think it was something like this. Yeah, just this point. Yeah. Okay, so this is a 3-point anchor. Okay, so I may mention it as well. Yes. This is good. I got something wrong. This was a bigger pass. Oh, you got different score. Okay. Yes. This basically would be just that even though the race is just 2 pips, so normally you've got great racing chances. So in any race, you should just take this, right? If this was normal thing. But one thing, you've got dead checkers, so you've got really nothing to play. So what I'm always asking is, what's the future?
Yeah.
And how can you win the game? Yeah. So what would you think is going to happen? What do you think Black will do in his next row? What do you think he will accomplish?
I mean, that's the thing, he's just coming down from the midpoint here, isn't he? And so you've either got to get a really lucky indirect shot,
yes,
or you're coming out here and you're just going to get hit.
Yes, exactly. Now you just nailed it. Yeah, unless you roll 6-4, you're either gonna come out like this, which you don't want, or you have to crash, which means that kills your racing chances and that kills your contact as well. So yeah, but yeah, good position, good to the topic. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Anything else? So if not,
I have a question. It seems like you assume that you have the midpoint, the person having the holding game all the time, because of course that's very important, because that's what gives you all the shot later on.
So yeah, I mean, in a holding game, you are probably pointing out that sometimes holding games are with an 18 point as well, because holding games.
No. What I meant is that you always get white the 13 point, his 13 point.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
And enough timing to keep it.
Yes. I chose Oh, good point. So I chose the most common scenario, and I chose that white got the 13 point as well, which means that when I'm leaving the 13 point, he can hit me there with the ones as well. I mean, that he can hit me easily here. What Peter was suggesting is what would happen if I didn't have the white wouldn't have the 13 point. Yeah, good question. Well, then of course it becomes much worse for the contact for white, and it becomes worse with contact. So white will probably not leave a shot. White will probably not get a shot. But let's think about this for a moment. If white doesn't have a 13 point, when does this happen? Oh, hang on. That happens when white is actually doing well in the race, right? Because if white doesn't have a 13 point, that means that he's doing well in the race because he didn't have any other checkers to play with but the 13 point. Okay, but very good question. Yeah. So yes. So what I was talking about was positions where white was down 15, 20, 30 pips in the race. if white is 10 pips up, 11 pips up, it's gonna become more like a race with small contact, because if white doesn't have a 13 point, then he's doing well in the race. That's the reason why he doesn't have it. That's why it's gonna be super good take and different approach in these situations. Basically, normally, unless I'm really leading in the race, I usually wait until I've got this position where I've got just one checker there. This is what I usually wait for, unless I've got a big lead in the race. Not when I have two checkers there, because now, if you can see, the race is just close. In these situations, the race will be close. So I wait until I get missed, so I don't get hit, and now I will just turn the cube. So yeah, oh, good question. Yeah, that's true. This is also considered as a holding game, which has a similar approach. Good. Anything else? If not, then I'd just like to use 2 minutes of your time and tell you something about that backgammon coaching, because I just uploaded intermediate backgammon course, which is 6-hour course where I'm talking about everything, all the topics from early game, first moves, opening moves, what you should do at the beginning, how should you approach the game. Then I'm talking about in the middle of the game, I'm talking about race, I'm talking about blitz, and all the stuff until the end game and cube as well. So I hope you see my screen still, and you can find this on backgammoncoaching.com, where, well, you can just see my website, and if you look on courses, then you can just down below find an intermediate course where you just click on start course. And yeah, it's on Vimeo. So you got 6 hours of fun to watch, to learn from, and just try to understand the game where maybe you have some gaps or you have some questions. Here are some episodes. So you can see 6 hours in total, fighting for the key points, how do you play doubles in the beginning. In the middle of the game, I explain the importance of the anchor, when you should make the anchor, on the other hand, when you should not make the anchor. And yeah, something about the cube, end game, and yeah, so everything here. So I'm going to just copy the link now to the chat, so you can see if you like. And I'd be happy to answer any additional questions to really anything, or you can just contact me after the seminar anytime, any other day, and I'd be happy to help and answer. By the way, also, as Ola mentioned, that YouTube channel, you can find free videos. I post at least 3 times a week, so you find 3 videos every week at least, with a lot of backgammon content, with nice positions, and you're gonna have a lot of fun, I hope. So always happy to get your feedback, get your comments, and yeah, I'm just happy to receive your moves on some positions, especially upcoming ones are very interesting. So hope to see you there, and thank you everyone for attention. Thanks, Ola, for doing this, and yeah, thanks
for being with us. Just you also give, I guess you also give private lessons, right?
Yes. Everything is on the website. You can contact me for the private lessons starting at 100 euros an hour. But yeah, you can just contact me, and yeah, I also analyze matches. That you send me a match and I do full analysis on it, so I can give you feedback individually. So if you are on a tournament and let's say you play final of some tournament, well, it's, let's say, a 13-point match, you can send me the match and I will analyze it for you. I will point out your mistakes and yeah, help you get your game well. So everything is on the website, you can check it out, and yeah, thanks. Yeah,
backgammoncoaching.com. Thank you so much, Zdenek. Thanks everyone for being with us, and okay, I'll see you next time, next month, for another topic. And yeah, thanks for those highlights. Was super crunchy. Yeah, we had some hot crunches and nice formulas. So hope you stay around, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Ola.
Bye. See
Bye.
you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Very good. I actually learned a couple of things, so that was really
Yeah.
nice. I didn't think about before actually. That I mean, that's why I love this. Even though
Yeah.
it's mainly for beginners and intermediates, there's always something in there that you didn't think about.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. That's true. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, actually, until you pointed that out, that holding is without a 13 point. I mean, of course, it's obvious, right? But it's just something what needs to be said. So yeah. It was a great comment, great question. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I have a question for Pete. Did you win the Monte Carlo qualifier the other day? Was it you?
Yes, yesterday evening. Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congrats.